West Virginia Charleston mission is, I mean, most of it's West Virginia, but it does cover, it has parts of a few other states. I didn't serve in all the states, but mostly West Virginia. It has some Kentucky. It has Southern Virginia. I think it covers like parts of 5 different states. Like I said, I only served in 2 areas over my 8 months. But so I served in West Virginia, Parkersburg, West Virginia, and Cave Spring, Virginia, which is near Roanoke, Virginia, kind of part of the metropolitan area there. But in the mission, I think there, and again, I'm kind of trying to remember back, but I think there are like 5 stakes in the mission. And there's really, I mean, if you go from one end of the mission to another end, there's a real culture difference. Like I said, when I was in Roanoke, it was more of a metropolitan area, very developed. And then in West Virginia, there's kind of a more backwoodsy feel. I didn't serve ever in the really backwoodsy areas with branches and only a few members, but I was in a pretty developed area, but it was a good place. West Virginia is a little bit poorer than a lot of the country, and that's not really fair to say either, because there were areas where there were, affluent people. The area where I stayed the most was in Vienna, actually, which was the same part as the Parkersburg ward. But right up the street, there were $1 million homes, but there were a lot of, trailer parks, lower income housing, and so there's that dynamic. But the people there are really great. I learned to say God bless you after talking to people, and so people are always, people are very religious there. They talk about Jesus a lot. There are a lot of born-again Christians. There are a lot of staunch Baptists. For a while, the Baptist faith was the predominant faith, the only faith in West Virginia. But now there are other evangelical churches, and actually in Parkersburg, there is a high concentration of a church called the Church of Christ. It was the highest concentration of this particular denomination anywhere in the world, so we experienced a lot of them. And unfortunately, you get into sometimes argumentative situations just because they're very staunch believers in the Bible. They know their Bible very well. And they believe in a restoration also. They believe that their church is a restoration of the original New Testament church. And they have elders in their church. So when we'd come up to the door, they'd see us and say, "Oh, elders. Oh, what qualifies you to be an elder?" And so that was kind of, when they said that, we knew, oh, okay, Church of Christ, all right. But I did end up going to a service of the Church of Christ. We actually made friends with a teacher. So there's a big Church of Christ university or college in Vienna, and we tracked it into one of the professors at the university, and it was a really great experience. We were able to teach the Restoration, share the Book of Mormon with him, and we invited him to come to our church. Well, he had church, so he invited us to go to his church. So we thought, what the heck, let's go to his church. We didn't go on Sunday, but we went on a Wednesday night when they had their youth night, and it was an interesting experience. The people were very friendly. I think because we were someone's visitor from the congregation, so they wanted to be friendly to us. But it was a lot of singing that we did. They don't use any piano or anything, so it's completely a cappella, and it was a good time. But yeah, it was interesting. So we had some good experiences and some not so good experiences with them, but overall very good people, and I'd say in general very good people in West Virginia. I was also able to go to a Catholic service. They're good, very down-to-earth people in West Virginia. People that just welcome you into your home and really love you, and that's wonderful. And there's some really funny experiences also. For example, one Sunday in church, they did what was called Scout Sunday, and apparently it's been discontinued in the church, but we did Scout Sunday, and it was an interesting experience. My companion and I went, and we weren't able to bring any investigators that Sunday, unfortunately, but it was an interesting sacrament experience because all the young men went dressed in their scout uniforms, and the elders in quorum, they passed the sacrament, but all the scouts were giving talks that Sunday in their scout uniforms. And all their talks were like, talking about the environmental science merit badge or this one camping experience. It wasn't really gospel oriented. It was very scouting oriented. It was a funny experience, but at the end, the first counselor or the second counselor gets up. He had just been called as the second counselor, and he was kind of still adjusting to being a counselor, and I think he might have been a little nervous still getting up in front of everyone. But he gets up and he announces the closing prayer and the closing song, and he goes to sit down. Well, then one brother from the congregation stands up and he goes, I'll change the no, well, I can't really change the name, but okay. So the counselor's name was Brother Ryan, and this brother in the congregation stands up, and he's very choked up, and he points with his finger too. He goes, "Brother Ryan, can we have all can we have all the Eagle Scouts stand? Once an Eagle Scout, always an Eagle Scout." And so, Brother Ryan is just like, oh, I don't know what to do in this situation. He's only been a counselor for a few weeks. And so he goes and says, yeah, sure. And he goes and sits down. Well, then everyone starts looking at each other thinking, what is going on? And no one was standing up. So I thought, we've got to get past this. So I stood up. And then a few other people stood up very quickly, and then we sat down very quickly. It was such a funny experience. And then we didn't really know where to go from there. So Brother Ryan, he gets up again. He's already announced everything, but he goes, "All right, let's sing that song." It was a very funny experience. Very good people there in West Virginia, very, very down to earth, and they can be a lot of fun too. And then when I was in Virginia, another funny experience was, we went to a ward activity, and it was they were playing bluegrass as their activity. So it was just a lot of fun to be there with the members playing, fiddles and guitars and a small harp thing. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. The people are great, very friendly and down to earth, and a lot of fun.